Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am very excited to share with you some awesome technologies to help us evolve our practice when it comes to teaching asynchronously online, particularly to increase interaction between students and instructors as well. So to start, my name is Rachel Dickler. I am an instructor here at Rutgers University. I'm currently teaching educational psychology online asynchronously, and I'm also doing research at Rutgers on artificial intelligence and education. But today, in order for us to really get a feel for how these technologies work, I'm going to ask that you go to joinpd.com. It's this website at the bottom here. And then I've also dropped the website link into the discussion forum. And then you can type in this 6-letter code ZPQPLC also in the discussion forum, and it'll let you join into our presentation. So I see we have 2 people join. When you go, it'll ask you, how are you feeling today? You can give a quick, response or skip it. And then our first question, which is whether you've used Pear Deck or not. So we can take a look. And it looks like so far, everyone is new to Pear Deck. So I'm excited to show you a little bit more about it. It's an add-on to Google Slides, but we have several other very cool technologies to talk through today as well. So I'm going to give you some background on the current setting for online learning. We'll go through talking about some technologies and then see at the end if anyone has any questions, if there's other tools you would like to share. And so throughout, we're going to be testing and interacting with technologies just to get a feel for what it's like to use them. Hopefully, you can become comfortable with these tools and integrate them if you're an instructor into your own classroom or suggest them to others if you find them useful. So starting with some background, right now, so many people are learning online with everything that's going on, and this can take place in multiple formats. In this presentation, I'm really zoning in on remote asynchronous classes. So everything is online. We're never meeting at the same time virtually. So everyone's completing work at their own pace. And because of this, there's so much experience of feeling isolated because you're really not having an opportunity to interact with your peers, especially in the informal ways that you would if, for example, this was an in-person class or even a synchronous class when you go into a breakout room and you have time for more informal conversations. So as instructors of asynchronous courses, it's really essential for us to think about ways in which we can make our programs more interactive. And so before we start talking about that, I would like you to take a moment and complete the Kahoot challenge that if you're in the Pear Deck, a link will appear. You can go ahead, you can spin, it'll give you an anonymous nickname, and just answer the 5 questions that come up. You'll notice that they're a little bit more on some background for online learning. If you are not able to join, I'll drop the link for the Kahoot into the discussion forum. So you can just go right to the Kahoot game. And I'll give you just 2 or 3 minutes to go ahead and complete this Kahoot. And if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat or into the question and answer. And as you're playing, what I'm sharing on my screen is the current leaderboard. So we can see as everyone's playing, it'll update for us in real time with different people's rankings. And what's really cool is because we have anonymous nicknames, it takes off a lot of the pressure, right, of having to get everything right. People will know who got answers wrong. But at the same time, we're starting to see some of the members of our online community here all working towards the same goal, the same challenge. Okay, so if you have not had a chance to answer all the questions, don't worry. You can continue to answer them. That's one of the benefits of these types of asynchronous tools. That link, I'll keep it active through the end of the conference tomorrow. So you're welcome to come back to these questions and test them out as well. But what I really want to show you is that tools like this, first of all, help us to review some really essential material, right? Understanding what is the context of online learning right now, but also to give you all an opportunity to compete with one another in really a safe way, right? With the anonymous kind of fun nicknames. You still get to answer some questions, but also see where you're ranking in terms of your colleagues. And it just adds a bit of fun to what would normally be an asynchronous experience where you'd just be asking or answering questions. You get this more larger community experience there. But I do want to show you a number of other technologies that support this type of interaction at the whole class level, but also at the one-to-one and small group levels as well. So let's talk more about some whole class technologies. Of course, the Kahoot was one example, but there's other tools too that enable community members to learn more from one another, to have the experience of everyone working towards that shared goal. And a lot of the time with these technologies, we know they're out there and we know there's tons of tools, but it's just so hard to narrow down which tools we should use in our particular classroom settings. And so I'm hoping that through us going through and trying some of these tools out today, you'll become more comfortable, hopefully see if a tool would work for you or not, depending on your context. But just know that there are so many great technologies out there, like online games, that would encourage the whole class to get involved, regardless of your class size. Also, survey tools from Google Forms to Qualtrics. We can give these types of tools out in terms of sending people a link to complete at their own pace. And then at the end of a given time period, maybe we say everyone has a week to fill out our survey, we can download the results, put them into a spreadsheet to share with the whole class so they can learn about others' experiences. But also interactive presentations too are a really unique way to have people interact either with you directly as the instructor or to see each other's responses. And so many presentations now allow for asynchronous interaction. So we saw the Kahoot, for example, as a game that allows asynchronous interaction. We're using it synchronously here, but certainly you could share the link and people could respond at their own time, self-paced. But also interactive presentations, I want to show you today some more about Pear Deck, which we're all signed into hopefully right now. If you haven't had a chance to sign in, you can still join us. You could go to joinpd.com. The link is in the discussion forum. This code in the top corner here, ZPQ PLC. And what Pear Deck does is it lets you as the instructor set up slides that students can respond to. And right now we're going through instructor paced. So when I change, your slides are changing on your phone or your computer, depending how you joined. But you could also do student paced. So students sign in whenever they'd like. They go through and answer the questions, and then you as the instructor at the end can share the results. And I want to show you why these types of interactive presentations are so powerful for encouraging interaction. So let's start with this. What is your current position? Go ahead and answer. Let's get a feel for who is in our community right now. Do we have researchers, administrators, students, parents, instructors? And so if this was asynchronous, of course, people could respond on their own time, and then you would look at the summary results at the end. Because it's synchronous now, I can show you as we get these responses, right? It gives us some really valuable information, not only to myself, right, leading this discussion right now, but also for you all as participants. You can get a feel for who some of the other participants are, learning a bit more about the community in this way. So looks like primarily we have higher education instructors here, some administrators, instructional designers, students, very cool. So other fields, parents as well. So hopefully you're seeing just such a quick question, just adding in something like this that's interactive already is letting us to learn more about our community. I have another question for you. You'll see a small red dot on your screen above Russia. You can drag that to wherever you are currently joining our presentation from. So let's take a look at where everybody is joining from. On my screen, I'm sharing. It's actually very cool. We can see you all moving your red dots. So we definitely have a very heavy East Coast presence. That's not surprising. We have so many participants I know from Rutgers. So that's very neat for us to see. And if we zoomed in, we could maybe tell more closely where people are on the East Coast. But I hope you're starting to see, again, just one question already. We're learning more about the participants. But also there's a way to learn more about each other at an individual level in an asynchronous format. So many tools out there now allow for getting to know people in a more informal setting if we embed them into our own class setup. So for example, we have tools that allow people to have more personal conversations or to interact almost in a face-to-face experience, but through posting videos of themselves. So new technologies like FlipGrid or Kaltura Media Space allow you to upload a video. It could be whatever length, let's say 30 seconds to a minute, and people can respond with their own video or with comments. And you can, as an instructor, set up this type of interaction to be more informal. It could be an opportunity for people to introduce themselves and respond to others. Or you could set it up to be something related to the topic that you're teaching about. But because people will respond with video to video, it adds on to that typical discussion forum that we see most often in asynchronous classes, where people are just, saying like, I agree, and not really getting into that deeper level conversation. That experience of almost talking to one another through these types of video posts is really valuable. But also learning management systems, they provide ways to group individuals, for example, student present, and that presentation is shared with other students in the course who can just respond and give feedback. Even if you have older students in your courses and you're comfortable to set up a Facebook page or a Twitter hashtag and encourage individuals to interact one-to-one, responding to one another's ideas, these might be more natural ways of interacting for our students and also allow for a bit of a deeper level of conversation relative to just a discussion board forum. But to show you a little bit more about these, try one of these video posting technologies, FlipGrid. So if you've heard of FlipGrid, essentially it's a way for everyone to post a short video. You set the time limit. So for us today, we'll be trying this. I set a 30-second time limit. And people can post short videos and respond to one another. So in our case, we'll be posting really short introductions of ourselves, and you'll be able to respond to other people's videos. There is an email sign-in required for this. So it's free. This tool is completely free, but you will need to sign in with a Gmail, for example, to access it. If you're on your phone right now, it might make you download the app, so you're welcome to, on your computer, open another window. I'll drop a link in for you. And what we're going to do right now for the next 5 minutes, we'll pause, and I'm going to ask you to record a response in our FlipGrid class setup. So again, FlipGrid, we're using it synchronously right now, but you can asynchronously use it because you share the link with your students to participate, and then they'll be able to post their others' videos at their own pace. So you might say asynchronously, everyone post your video by this date, and then respond to each other's videos by another date. It's, again, allows for that flexibility, but people still get to learn from one another and interact. So I've dropped the FlipGrid link into the discussion forum. I'm going to mute myself for just until about 1:18, 1:19, to give you all an opportunity to post a video where you introduce yourself, only 30 seconds, and then just respond to other people's videos who post as well. So you'll be able to comment on others' videos. I will be monitoring, though, the discussion forum and the live question and answer. So if you have any questions, maybe the discussion forum is easiest. I can reply to you in the forum, so I'm not interrupting your videos, but I'll call everyone back together at 1:19. Don't worry if you didn't respond to everyone. Well, you can still access everybody's videos through the end of the conference tomorrow. Okay, everyone. So I'm going to start bringing us all back to this main session here. Thank you so much. Been great. I've gotten to meet a few of you already. And just so you know, that will be available through the rest of the conference. So feel free to come back to that link. I'll explain later where you can access the links after everything is over, and you'll be able to continue to respond to one another, learn more about others at the conference. I know online it's harder to network, so feel free to introduce yourselves, answer each other's icebreaker questions. I appreciate you giving that a try. And hopefully what you saw is once you get into it, it's very easy to do. There's lots of fun effects you can add to your videos. And again, it just adds that face-to-face interaction that typically online, I mean, here we are synchronously and it's even harder, but you can imagine asynchronously, we don't always get that. And our last type of interactions, I want to tell you some more about small group technologies. Again, these are tools that allow individuals within, maybe size like 3 to 4. You can have up to 10 in some of these spaces, although it does get a little bit more difficult to interact. But these tools provide us with an awesome opportunity to allow individuals to either have a shared work product, for example, tools like Google's Jamboard and Padlet let people to work on what seems to be an interactive whiteboard space. So the same way In person, you might add a sticky note up on the wall, but here, because it's made for this online asynchronous interaction, people can make their comments and add sticky notes, add materials at their own time, and then go back to see what others have added and continue to comment and respond. And then same with interactive videos. So Play, Pause It, and Kaltura, if we have a lot of instructors here who are at Rutgers, we have free subscriptions to these services. Otherwise, you would need to purchase a subscription. But they also allow you as an instructor to create up groups for students to interact with one another, reply and answer questions together through video. They might post YouTube links from other sources or make their own videos and reply to one another. And same with interactive presentations. Google Slides is such a valuable tool within asynchronous online learning because students can contribute to a shared product, even if it's at different times. And so just when doing these types of programs, we need to be very careful, right, to monitor, to make sure that students have an opportunity to have clear directions and instructions to do this. But as we are running shorter on time, I do want to jump ahead to tell you more specifically about Jamboard, which is a very, very cool whiteboard experience. When you sign in, we're going to try one in a second. You'll see it looks like this. On the left is a little menu where you can click, for example, this middle button to add a sticky note with information, and you can use a pencil to write and respond to others' sticky notes as well. We're going to give it a try right now. I don't think we have time to go into breakout rooms at this point, but I would love for you to go ahead. You can click this link on the Pear Deck slide, and I'll also drop it in the discussion forum. And you can go ahead, just, if there's any technology that we didn't talk about today, add a sticky note about it. Give us a little bit of background about what it can be used for. Maybe put a link that we can click to access it. And there are, I think I set up 10 pages within this Jamboard. You can add to any of the pages. And again, I'll make this editable through the end of the conference, and then I'll leave it up so it'll be view only after the conference, but you'll be able to come back. You can add or access other tools people have posted. And then at the same time, you can also access the slides. I'll put a link to the that you just saw at the end of the Jamboard as well.
Rachel.
Yes.
Hi, Rachel. Awesome presentation. So many tools, so little time, right? There's a couple of questions. I will just make sure that you see them.
Oh,
somebody
perfect.
was asking that they could not access video in FlipGrid. How do they do that? And another question we have in Q&A about can instructor de-anonymize the Kahoot participant? So, and we have about 2 minutes left. Thank you so much.
Great question. So for the FlipGrid, once you've replied, you should see it'll be like a window with all the other people who submitted their videos. There can be privacy settings, so I'll make sure that you can see everybody else's videos by the end here, and I'll make sure that link is still accessible for you in the slides as well. For the Kahoot, once you set it to be anonymous, you cannot see who is, you can't de-anonymize it, but when I set up the Kahoot, I specifically chose to make it anonymous. You can choose to make it not anonymous, and then people have to sign in with email, so it just takes a little longer, but you can absolutely make it so that it's not anonymous. Great questions.
Thank you so much, and we have about 1 minute left.
Perfect, perfect. So with that minute, thank you all for going ahead and taking the time to test out those tools. I hope you saw that they're really not so intimidating once you get into it, and hopefully they give you just a stepping stone to think about in your asynchronous settings. What can you do to promote interaction between your students, play around with these technologies. They can seem a little scary, but they're definitely worth it. And yeah, thank you all so much for attending today.